All right, so we've already talked about how to give some output, so let's talk about how to get some input. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to use the keyword prompt. This shows a dialog on screen that gathers information from the user through the keyboard. The message we're going to say is, "What is your username?" And I'm going to put a semicolon on the end of this. Semicolons are optional in JavaScript, but you should be in the habit of using them because it will make your life simpler later on. So we're going to say prompt, "What is your username?" If we come over, we now see we have a pop-up box. Unlike an alert box, this box has a text box where the user can enter information. So I'll say, "What is your username?" Bruce Wayne, and hit enter. So great, we've gathered our first piece of input, but where did that input go? If we come back over to our Visual Studio Code, we can see that if we want to store information, I have up here how we store information. I create a variable, I give the variable name, and then I put information inside of it. So this first name is storing the information TOA. To store the information entered by the user into the prompt, we're going to do a similar thing as we did on the line above. So I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to say let, I'm going to give that variable name, username, and then I'm going to say equals, and then whatever the user types into this prompt. So I'm going to gather the information from the user over the keyboard, and I'm going to store it in this variable called username. So just to prove to you that this does in fact work, we're going to use something from the last video, and we're going to use an alert box to display it. So when we type alert and we put the open parentheses, an alert can take in a message of any type. The message I want to show is whatever's inside of username. So I could just hardcode text here and say hello world, or I can use my variable and I can display what's inside of my variable. So I'm going to use the word username. So now what my program is going to do is it's going to take in information, it's going to store it in a variable, and then it's going to display whatever's being stored in that variable. So if we save this and we come over here, it says, "What is your username?" I could put "I am Batman." And if I hit OK, the alert box pops up, "I am Batman." And so now we have successfully gathered input, stored it in a variable, and displayed it. If we come back over to our Visual Studio Code, I'm going to show you one more thing that you can do with prompt box. So when you first created your prompt, if you put an opening parenthesis, it gives you this helpful little message that says message question mark colon string. This means a prompt can take in a message, and the type of message it needs to take in is a string. So unlike an alert box, which can take in any type of information, this message can only take in, a prompt can only take in a string, not an integer, not a float. It has to be a string. Then you'll notice that there's this comma here, and then it gives you another keyword called default, and then the question mark. So what the question mark means is that this piece of information is optional, but you can provide it. If you provide it, the prompt box will use that information. So just to show you what this does, we'll say, okay, we know we can take in an information, and that information can be a string. So I'm going to say, "What is your username?" And then we're going to put a comma, just like the comma up here in the hint box. And then it says default. And this also needs to be a string. So I'm going to put the word test here, and I'm going to show you what this does. So if we save this and we come over, we see we now have the prompt box, but instead of being an empty text box here for the user to type in, we've pre-supplied some information. So this might help if you're having a user enter in information and you know some of the information already. You can display it and then they can correct it. So I could change this from being test to "I am Batman," or I could leave it as test. Um, and so that is how the default portion works. If we don't provide that portion, I'm going to save my code. We come back over here and we reload our page. We can see that there is nothing provided in the text box. So the second thing that you send to the prompt box, totally optional, but it allows you to put a default message there. And that concludes this video. Thanks for watching.